All right, let's talk about when did your vision begin to grow into something bigger, and how did you migrate to what you went on to next?
I would say to you, by having seen my father and his business acumen as a dentist, where he would be get up, go to work, pay the bills, so to speak, and work very, very hard, that there was obviously the limitations of time and money that he experienced as a dentist. I could fall into the same trap. So
what was really wrong with your life? What did you feel was lacking?
I think you get so busy you don't realize what's lacking is what happens. And so I had a vision for the future. My vision was beyond how busy I was today to the reality check of saying, if I stay this busy, where am I going to be 10 years from now? I'm going to be even busier. 10 years from now, who knows if medicine's socialized? 10 years from now, who knows how the fees will be controlled, the cost of running a practice. So I saw that the economic pie for a lot of physicians was shrinking down, 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 down. So I began to think about diversification. And as a young teenage kid, I had a friend, a very close friend, whose grandfather was an entrepreneur who'd made and lost millions on a number of occasions, that used to meet with myself and him and tell us stories about his successes and his failures. And one of the things he drummed into us is develop a business system where that business system can make money, ongoing streams of income, passive type income, that could operate in your absence, so that you're not handcuffed time-wise to your job, your business, your occupation. So then you have flexibility and freedom where the business is working for you instead of you working for the business.
Most people, where you were at the height of your medical career, most people would say that's success. That's a wonderful life. You're working 120 hours a week. That's really making it hard. You're gonna get paid off. Why was that not good enough for you? Why did you not like that? What was wrong with it?
Well, because you had ever-increasing overhead, which means the cost of operating your business. You had to add more employees. You had more government paperwork. You had more regulations. The insurance companies were beginning to negotiate with multiple clinics to get doctors to discount their fees. So instead of you bill $100 on a particular service, perhaps you'd get paid $90. However, with the negotiation that took place with insurance companies that were the power brokers and doctors in their clinics, pretty soon it went down to 60%. So you got paid 60%. And then some of the government-assisted programs, they began to pay less and less money over the years as inflation took place, and then indeed were slower and slower paying. So it got to the point where you could see a lot of patients, be as busy as you want to be, but there could be some months where you could barely make a living for yourself, even though
as a medical
doctor,
as a highly successful medical doctor, you felt you couldn't even.
There were times where you would have to have a business line of credit to pull money out of that line of credit so that you could pay your employees, pay your bills, because your accounts receivable were so high, meaning money that's supposed to come to you that's sitting out there you haven't collected yet, and your accounts payable, what you owed somebody else, got higher and higher. And there were months you could get $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 behind in your payments.
Did that happen? What happened to you exactly? When did it happen?
Well, that happened, began to happen in the first 5 years of my medical business. I began to recognize that and see that.
The debt was rising. You're trapped. What was it like?
What it was like was there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to diversify so I can create ongoing streams of income, so then I can practice medicine more as a hobby or a avocation instead of a vocation.
So your vision, you had a vision for a way of doing medical business that was greater than what the current paradigm was. And you were frustrated because you couldn't accomplish that within the current medical profession.
All I had to do was take a look at the doctors that were in my community and see how unhappy they were, see what they talked about in the medical lounge, what they talked about at the medical meetings, their concerns with taxation, reimbursement, insurance costs, the malpractice costs, the costs of running their practice. And then I noticed a few things that were kind of a wake-up call to me. I saw one physician who retired at 65 years of age as a surgeon after many years of serving the community. came in to visit me as he retired. I'd known him for a couple of years and said, hey, I'm retiring. I'm going to go hunting and fishing and spend time with my grandkids. And so I just want to let you know that I'm turning my patients over to such and such a doctor. Within 6 months, he had died of a cancer of the lung. He had been a smoker, I believe. And so 6 months of retirement, he's dead. So he'd worked so hard all of his life to enjoy his retirement, and he passed away. Then another fellow was a dentist, and he'd been in a car wreck. He had a Corvette and had injured himself seriously. I think he was right-handed, so he could no longer practice as a dentist. So his livelihood, which depended totally on his own dexterous skill, was totally hampered by his inability to practice dentistry. So his income was cut off. Maybe he had some disability insurance, I don't know. And then another doctor that suddenly had a seizure in his mid-40s. He was an internist. Turns out he had what's called a glioblastoma, a cancer in his brain. And so they treated that and kept him alive for about another 8 years, but he didn't have the quality of life. He practiced medicine, but it was at a minimum rate, and then just recently died here in his 50s.
So you're feeling that something is systemically wrong with the system of what? Where you trade your hours for money? What is it?
No, I would say to you that I just became aware of different ways of making money. I became educated. I met others that had created business systems, whether it be through real estate or potentially through...
Something was flawed with the business model.
The business model of medicine was based on fee-for-service, which is get up, go to work, pay the bills. It was a matter of time dependency. My time, my skill depended on how many patients I could see. It was limited. It was like a flea in the jar. I was the flea jumping up, and the lid of the jar was on there, and I could only go so far based on how much time I had. And then eventually what happens to most people, and I could see it could have happened to me, take the lid of the jar off, the flea still won't jump out. Human beings are the same way. All creatures in the animal kingdom can be trained to believe about self-limitation. So I began reading books.
You were highly successful, but yet you could still feel that the system you were in made people dependent and put a lid that didn't allow them to go further.
Well, I just think it becomes a matter of what's somebody's dream. And most people, they had a dream, say, to be a doctor. They became a doctor. Then they reached a limited income and had a lifestyle attached to that income. They put all of their heart and soul in what they did, time-wise, and they sacrificed their family because they took their wedding ring off, so to speak, and put it on their stethoscope, and were so busy taking care of their patients, they didn't have time to take care of their family, so their family suffered emotionally. And through lack of time and lack of quality time and quantity time with the father or the parent, and so consequently, I said there's got to be a better way. And I began reading books. I began listening to audios. I began associating with successful people that had more freedom, more flexibility, more upward mobility in their life, and I began to become coached by people like that.
So you had a burning desire to do something more that you didn't feel you could do in the current system, and you connect with people that showed you a way to grow into new business models.
Here's how it works. As far as a new business model or seeking something, people don't know what they don't know. The reality is most people have lived a certain pattern in their life long enough that they don't see the rest of the world out there. They don't see the opportunity out there, and what they tend to do is become jaded. And what they're doing is making excuses and justifying their own lack of success that is potential within them. So I got excited about understanding the principles of teaching people how to unlock their dreams, unlock their burning desire, unlock their potential, unlock their talent and ability, and believe in them, and give them a prescription for success.
So you really think that something is systemically wrong with the culture and society today that does not promote people, employees, of obtaining their dreams and realizing their full potential?
I believe what it boils down to, you become like what you're around. And if you're around alcoholics, at some point in time, you'll start drinking more. If you're around people that use a lot of foul language, you'll start using foul language. If you're around people that are chasing around a lot and leading a very, immoral or promiscuous lifestyle by their own design or choice, if they're around people like that, they'll become like that. If you're around people that are negative, doubting Thomases, you become like that. If you're around positive thinkers that put forth action, that's inspirational to you. If you have a hockey team, a baseball team, a soccer team, a basketball team of people that are lackadaisical,